Look into my eyes, can't you see they're open wide? Would I lie to you, baby? Would I lie to you? Oh yeah, don't you know it's true? Girl, there's no one else but you. Would I lie to you, baby? Would I lie to you? Oh yeah, everybody wants to know the truth. In my arms, it's the only proof. I've hidden my head behind the bedroom door.
Surely that's enough.
Now it's open, I can do no more. I'm telling you, baby, you will never find another girl in this heart of mine. Whoa.
Taking that way too serious, by the way.
Look into my eyes, can't you see they're open wide? Would I lie to you, baby? Would I lie to you? Oh, yeah. That's it. I'm done with that bullshit. I can't take any more of Charles and Eddie from 1992.
Is that who it was?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, fuck.
I think they're one-hit wonders.
Yeah, fuck.
Charles and Eddie.
You hear that song all the time.
What I love is I think it was one of them just went, oh, yeah. That's all he did. Let me introduce this bullshit because this is a big fucking episode. This is the biggest one we've ever done. This is Invert the Y, episode Stardate Log, Captain's Log 12.1.5.9, and the USS Invert the Y is orbiting another planet of retrodom and bullshit. And today, I can't fucking believe it. After so many episodes, he's here. Pedro! Is this real? Are you real, man?
Well, yes, you would think so, but no. Yes, mate, I'm real.
You are?
You know it's true.
I am Pedro.
You are Pedro. You know you've got your own T-shirt?
I do.
I bought one.
And you know where you can get those T-shirts from?
Oh, here it goes.
Here we go. That's right, kids. We've got our own store, shop.inverty.net. You can get all sorts of T-shirts, including Pedro's own Pedro is Real T-shirt. Now you know he fucking is. I never lied. Like Charles and Eddie from 1992. I never lied. All sorts of shit, and 10% of the revenue goes to a charity. Look it up. It's high-quality fabric from China, but it's kind of like from US.
It is from the US.
Is it?
It's manufactured in the US.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was from China.
Mate, ethically sourced. It says so on the fucking thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
my fucking apologies.
Know your product, mate.
Know
your product.
Know your shit. Well, I don't. Check it out. Shop.inverty.net. Now I'll hold this button down, Pedro. Look at this. Doesn't work. There we go. Oh, I've come a long way. And also part of the podcast is Jason Relaxation.
Fuck me.
Man, thank you for coming in. This is a surprise.
I did. I've been holding off and pushing off, as you know.
You've been copping a lot of shit too.
I think even at the start of 2019, you're like, Pedro, get on the cast. I'm like, I'll see you in 2020.
Yeah, that's right.
Literally, that's what
you're
you said.
doing the Olympics.
Yes.
You're building a stadium or something like this. You said, 2020 is because you thought by then I would have snuffed it.
I was hoping.
And I'm still here. Right,
I'm still here.
I'm still fucking standing like Tony Montana at the end of Scarface,
Yep.
all coked up and stuff. I'm saying,
Say hello to my little friend.
yeah, after that little bit, you know when he gets out there and he gets bullets, and he goes, "I'm still standing," right? And then finally he does get shot to bits by the
the
guy,
shotgun in the back.
yeah, the assassin. He looks like Terminator with those glasses.
It was a budget Terminator.
A budget Terminator. Yeah, all right. So Pedro, thanks for coming on, man. We go way back.
We do.
I think it's 1989 when we first met in high school. Is that right?
I was there in 88,
88, yeah, okay.
but I wasn't cool enough to talk to you then.
No, you weren't. You hadn't made it to the upper echelon of nerds.
No. I had to wait for a spot to open up in the corner block with you and Mark Popple.
Yeah.
I was on the waiting list.
Do you remember that guy? He used to have sound effects. He was like the guy from Police Academy.
What was his name?
Michael Winslow was the actual
That's it.
actor.
Michael Winslow used to do all those.
Yeah, he used to do all of those sound effects.
Whatever happened to that guy?
You know what? I looked that up just recently because...
As you do.
As I do. Well, because Police Academy was on.
Yeah, okay.
Winslow.
Yeah. And I looked him up and he's just a comedian now. He's just doing comedy.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah, that guy, we used to know this kid at school who literally would do sound effects like the guy from Police Academy. That's what he used to do.
Fuck, you guys hung around with losers.
We did, didn't we?
God, yes.
We did, hey.
But then again, you know, you go to your level, so I'm like, I'm okay with that.
No, you roll.
It was a special school we went to.
Oh, what a fucking shit show it was, eh?
I can't believe they built over the top of it. What's going on there?
They're building a whole people's
I thought the
retirement
whole
village.
thing was condemned thanks to the, you know, vicious, evil chemicals that were coming out of the soil. And
But if you're over the age of 80, you stop giving a fuck.
no, there's that. There's that.
Yeah, they apparently
It's a retirement village.
You know what? I was going to go down there with a Cookie Queen and check it out myself to see whether or not it's
Have some cookies
still
in
there.
advance.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, why not? And sitting on the park bench. Well, remember that night we went in there? We broke in there. Remember that night? There was
I can neither confirm or deny.
There was a time we went down there. This is years ago, man. We went down there, remember, and we're sitting on the seat, and this security guard came up with his dog. It was like Road Rash with that dog, that like from the 3DO. He had like this big German Shepherd, and he says, "What are you kids?" He says, "What are you kids doing here?" We went, "Oh, we used to go to school here." He goes, "Well, that's fine, but you can't stay here." And he just said, "Can you just go?" But the place
You don't
was
have to
like,
go home, but you can't stay here.
yeah, it was like Chernobyl. That whole place, wasn't it?
It was.
It's a pretty scary place. It's like, you know, when what was it, the alien colony on Aliens when they abandoned it?
Jesus, fuck, you're stretching this.
It was like that. The fucking aliens came.
Hadley's Hope, mate.
Hadley's Hope. There you go. He knows what I'm talking about, motherfucker.
Fair enough. I wouldn't. Okay, fair enough.
Man, This is big. It's a stretch. This is big, Pedro.
It is, mate.
We go way back.
Yes.
You can.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Who knows what could come out?
I don't know, man. We could wrap this up in 10 minutes and call it a day. I'd be just as happy because you actually finally came here. You got a T-shirt after you on a shop. What more do you want?
Oh, I'm done.
You're done.
I can retire.
You can retire now. Yeah. So listen, we thought what we would do as a topic of the show is go down like memory lane in terms of gaming because we've talked about you so much on the podcast in terms of like
He may or may not know that.
oh, he may or may not, but we talked a lot of shit about
Yeah,
you.
I've heard. I got upset. And,
Yeah.
And I stopped listening. No, I've heard a few of them. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, I would have stopped too. It's shit.
I don't listen to them.
He stopped as well. He stopped turning up and he stopped listening.
Depends what the topic is.
Topic is, I'm thinking, because you were so center in terms of like all those nerd experiences with gaming, like the TIE Fighter, your place with that granny flat that you had that PC, remember you had that 486 DX33 and it was like
the turbo button.
that had the turbo button and it was like, oh, this
What
is
did the
fucking...
turbo button actually do?
Yeah, tell us, Pedro.
Pretty sure all it did was change the LEDs on the front of the case to go to 66. Pretty sure that's all it did.
But how cool was it though? It was awesome.
Because I'm trying to figure out what would that actually do. It's not put more current over the friggin' CPU or something.
Oh, look,
No,
it'd be something along those lines. But like again, that's assuming that they actually hooked it up and it was doing. I'm pretty sure it was just hooked to the LEDs.
But man, you were cool with that because you had your own granny flat, and inside the granny flat, I've told the story. There was one time I said to you, "Why is there a knife lying around in the bedroom there?" And you said, "Oh, because there's rats here." And I throw the rats at the door, and they come in from the garage. It's, I was like, I could never sleep in that place. I'm like, oh, there's rats. Because you slept in the bed, and I was way over on the other side of the granny flat on the floor.
From memory,
where the rats would get you.
Pretty large space.
Dude,
right?
it was massive.
Yeah.
Your dad's turned it into a
pool room, mate. That's what you do when the kids move out. They just they repurpose. So now it's got a billiard table in it.
Fair enough.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's okay. Well, all three of the boys had that once for their room. So
Did they?
Yeah.
They came in after you
Yeah,
left. Yeah, because you're older than.
passed it on. Now it's your bedroom.
But man, that room had so many adventures with gaming. Like it had the machine where we did you did the TIE Defender, where we got the TIE Fighter like 4:00 in the afternoon. Your mum made us dinner, and you're still playing this game and playing this game. And I went to sleep at some point. You were drinking your beers. 5:00 in the morning, the sun's come up because I think it was like summer-ish or spring or something. And you're like, and I've just woken up. You're still playing this fucking game, and I've gone. Are you still playing that? You go, yeah. I've got the TIE Defender. and I'm like,
Ring-a-ding-ding,
that's
baby.
right. And I'm thinking, how can you still be playing this game? And then you had you had Doom, and I had my shitty 286 and I couldn't play Doom. And that pissed me the fuck off. I used to travel.
Well, that was only turnabout because you got Wolfenstein. And I couldn't play Wolfenstein on my shitty old.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Did I? Yep. So I had Wolfenstein.
Well, this is pre-Doom, right?
Yeah, pre-Doom. Yeah.
So you had Wolfenstein. Do you remember how it used to measure your resources? I don't know if you remember the loading screen.
Yeah, I do actually.
This is how much RAM you've got and whatever. And so your machine could run, and I tried to run it on my crappy one, and it just went no.
Because I think that was on the 286, and it had a whopping 1 megabyte of RAM. Right.
Didn't we have a 20 megabyte hard drive?
We had a 20 megabyte hard drive, which was sick, right? And we had like...
From memory, Dad had that box in the garage until quite recently.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he wouldn't throw it.
Kept all his old... Like he's got like an ancient history of Mac, because he's always been a Mac guy.
Yeah.
Got like back in here, and they'd probably be worth a bit, except
Macs would be, yeah.
They've been sitting in his shed, with chainsaws propped on top of them. And things.
Yeah. But I've got one there. That was working, that Mac. I was telling Fantastic Phil when he was here, that was working up till not long ago, and then I turned it on, and then there's nothing. And now Apple want to charge me some bullshit amount to even look at it, and I'm like, I'm not even going to bother with it. They want to charge like $150 just to take it down there.
Mate, the kind of people that would be able to work on that kind of thing, they're going to have to wheel them out of the retirement villages to get them to fix it for you. So it's going to cost.
I know it's going to cost. Well, I don't really care now. It's just like a talking piece to make me look cool. But unfortunately, I don't.
I was going to say, you're going to have to get some more.
He's fucking funny little prick. Yeah, so I can't remember that. I had Wolfenstein and you couldn't run that. I don't remember that. And so you've gone, all right. So you upgraded that PC, or you bought that PC?
Yeah.
Or your dad probably would have bought it.
Oh, yeah, Dad bought it.
Yeah. And then you went, okay, I can run Wolfenstein, but now I can run this thing called Doom.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. That I told the story so many times, that upset me when I went to the Games Wizards down here, and I was like, what's this game? They're like, oh, it's Doom. I go, okay, cool, I'm going to buy it. And the guy goes, no, you need a 386. I went, what's that? What does that mean? And he goes, well, have you got a 386? I go, no, I think I got a 286. He goes, you can't play. I went, fuck. That's devastating. And I was telling the story, I made up all these stories to the old man when I got to uni. Oh, I need a better computer so I can run Word or something. So, because that's what they use at uni. They don't use Word Perfect anymore, Dad. I got to use like Microsoft Office or some bullshit. And I just wanted a better computer so I could play Doom. And then I went, and he wasn't falling for it. The old man, he's not fucking dumb. And then I've ended up at your place there playing Doom. And that was like a revolutionary thing.
Well, it's one of those like iconic games, right?
Yeah.
So, and even if you think about some of the things like the level design in the first mission, like it for guys of our generation, girls that played it, it's a like that first level. Like I know it back to front. I can remember it.
Yeah.
Exactly where everything was, where the secret doors were, and it's just such a for the time, it was an amazing game.
It's hard to play now though, because they've released it again on like the modern systems like PlayStation.
It's all changed now though. Oh, you mean
the original?
Released the original?
Yeah, like Doom 1993 and then Doom 2.
Well, you can't look up.
You can't look up. Do you know how hard that is? Like, that's a mind fuck.
Oh, I know.
Because I tried to play it and I'm like, well, that imp is up there somewhere.
There is no inverting the Y.
There's no inverting the Y.
No.
And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is really tough.
I remember at the time it made sense. I'll shoot at that wall and it will hit that thing up there.
Yeah, it made total sense.
It made sense.
But
Nowadays,
you know what we were blown away with? The fact that I can remember we were blown away with, like, you could walk into an elevator and it would just like lift you up.
Yeah.
And you were like, I've never seen that before.
Wolfenstein didn't have that.
No, it was flat.
So for us, it was all flat. And mind you, there were a couple of Wolfensteins as well. And that's a whole different conversation about which one was the favorite. But the Doom was revolutionary because the very first time when you walk upstairs, because that's part of the first part of the first level, right? And you had to go up there and you get the armor.
That's right, yeah.
That was a fucking spin out.
It was.
You go, ooh.
And just I know it seems dumb now, but even like the demons were scary.
Oh yeah, they were.
You could hear them.
Demons. How cool were they? The original.
Yep. And
Yarns of Hell.
The noises, like the sound effects were something like Wolfenstein had some good stuff, and it had the really crappy German like Achtung,
mein Leben,
mein Leben.
but the the sound effects in Doom were just something that blew you away, especially when it was done with the lighting effects and you all of a sudden the lights go out. Like that was the origin of the jump scare, or one of the best sort of implementations of early jump scares. And you know, you'd grab a power up and the lights would go out, and next thing you hear this. And you know, at the time, you know, games have surpassed that now, but at the time it was like, oh.
And I remember you were like, you had this talent, like you said before, you could find those secrets, and you used to always be able to find the berserk power up, and you'd run around, you'd punch, and they'd
it's still in the games now. That concept of the whole berserk is still part of the current games, but that was just fantastic.
You know what you know what the best power up was? I think it was Hexen, where you could turn things into chickens.
Yes.
Was that Hexen or Heretic? I always get those two mixed up.
Was that a cheat, or was that part of
that was a game,
yeah, I don't know which one it was, but yeah.
And I remember going, oh, this is sick. They've even got, like, they've made Doom even better. Because in the 90s, things got better and better and better. And then, like, towards the end, like, the first-person shooters were so sophisticated in our eyes compared to, like, what Doom was, which was early 90s, like 93. And when I was seeing things like Heretic and that, I'm like, you can turn shit into chickens? I must have this. And that was the best thing about coming up to your place there in those 90s days. Like, I'd bring a swag of blank discs and I'd put them into your computer and we'd copy all sorts of games. And sure as shit, I'd get home and go, I'd give you a call. It didn't work, man. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to copy this file. And if you copy that file, it does some other bullshit thing.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken,
But
Pedro,
piracy's not a joke, kids.
No.
Oh, yeah, but don't pirate.
Don't pirate.
Yeah.
It's hard to pirate now. If I'm not mistaken, Pedro, it was you that was responsible for my addiction to Ultima 8.
Ultimate Pagan.
No.
It was 7. 7's
I thought it
Pagan.
was 6.
No. Pagan. It sounds Ultima 7 Pagan.
Pagan was okay. So
Because that fucked me up.
that was the only time I felt superior.
Yeah.
Because I had that 486. Remember?
Yes.
And Ultima came out, and you said, "I want to see what it looks like on your machine," and you just went, "Oh yeah." More frames per second. Oh yeah, it's definitely smoother.
I was dying on the inside.
You were, it was like that was the only time I was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
But geez, that was a great game.
Yeah, but then you showed. I remember you introduced me to like the XCOM stuff, like Enemy Unknown, and
That was a great game.
You were always into the XCOM stuff, and you always had a way of being able to go, you know what? If you don't get this research done by this time,
You're fucked.
you are in trouble, man. You won't be able to finish this game. And you're like, oh, what do you mean? And then you're right. Like it just had a subtle way of saying, well, you didn't do enough in that time you were given. And I'm like, fuck. And then what was the last? They did a XCOM game towards the end where it was like a real turn strategy game.
XCOM Apocalypse, I think it was.
Yeah, and you didn't like it too much. I know.
No, it changed. I mean, there were some good things in it, but it just didn't meet up to what I was looking for the game.
Yeah.
So,
And then there was the Wing Commander. That was the other. That was the
Oh,
only
Wing
time
Commander.
I think I introduced you to a game, and you were like, "Fuck, what's this?"
That was
the
Wing
only
Commander
time.
3, though.
That was Wing Commander 3.
the height of full motion video.
Yeah, and you live with those two girls.
They're cats.
Remember those?
Yeah, let's not go there.
I don't think they liked you much.
No.
and they.
Let's not go there.
Right, that's right. And then and then I don't think we both were playing much during I think you had the original Xbox, and I remember there was a lull between the top. Well, we were both at uni and trying to work and all that kind of stuff. So the time between the 486 era that you had, that beast of a PC that you had, and then I guess the Xbox coming on the scene, I don't remember as much talking about games. Really, not a lot. And then I remember one day you said to me, I got this thing called the Xbox. I go, the fuck? What would you get that for? Because I was like all about the PlayStation 2, right?
Yes.
And you're like, come over, man, I got this. And I'm like, the fuck? And then I remember going to your place and you had a brand new TV that we called the Plantier.
That was Liverpool.
That was Liverpool. That was your place at Liverpool.
Yeah,
and you had this brand new TV because you went all in. You always go all in, which is awesome. You don't do shitty things like you don't do.
You know who I got the TV from?
No.
Brad Pitt.
Oh, you got it from Brad Pitt.
I did.
I don't know. What?
Yeah, he was working at the Good Guys at the time.
Ah.
So he got me a deal on massive sort of CRT TV.
Yeah.
Like they all were at the time.
Well, they were 68 inch or 68 centimeters or some
It was
bullshit.
huge. Right?
It was huge for the day.
Enormous.
Yeah.
And
Imagine how much it weighed. Jesus.
I can tell you it was heavy because being the idiot that I am,
This was good.
I've bought the TV and
you live upstairs.
yeah,
He's about to tell you a cracker.
and I've got it home, and I don't know how I feel because I think I had. Oh, I know how I got it because I had access to a vehicle that had a large,
ute?
Yes, but
Yeah.
Had a large space in the back.
We won't talk about that.
We won't talk about
No, we won't talk about that.
No, I had access to a vehicle that could get the TV home.
That-
Because
that-
my other car was a Hyundai Excel and it wasn't going to fit in
Oh,
that.
that fucking car. We'll get to that. Yeah. Okay. You're right. This
So I got the TV back to Liverpool. And I lived up on the
second floor.
second floor or third
Yeah.
floor. No lift, so just stairs. And so I had this sort of half fridge size box that contained this ridiculously heavy TV. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't know any of my neighbours. Don't want to know, but I don't know any of my neighbours. I don't know. And no one that I know lives around here. I've got this ridiculous sized TV. I've got to get it. You know what? I'm just going to roll it up the steps. So I just flipped it end over end.
End over end. Yeah.
And it still worked.
Brand new that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, ye oldie technology.
Yeah.
You drop it and it still works.
But you know what though? Even though I mean by today's standards it's a small TV, back then it was a large CRT.
Fucking massive.
It would have been heavy as fuck.
It was.
And I remember going to your place. I remember you calling me being really excited, like, "Oh, come over, man!" Like, or come on. I was thinking it was after Kung Fu. Even you're like, come and have a look at my Xbox. And I'm like, huh? What? What's an Xbox, man? Fuck that. You're like, no, nah, you go, Microsoft's all over this. They got the shit. They're the shit. I'm like, huh? No, they're not. Sony's all about the PlayStation. Nah, fuck that. And you convinced me to go there, and I saw this brand new TV, and I went, how'd you get that up here? And you're like, oh yeah, end over end, and you showed me how you did it. And I went, that's insane. Like literally from the start of the elevator all the way up those stairs, end over end.
No elevator.
No elevator. Oh, there wasn't an elevator.
No elevator.
I'm thinking of the next place you
Yeah,
went to.
Cogra had an elevator.
Cogra had an
Would have been
elevator.
much smarter to buy a big TV when I was at Cogra. but
Yeah,
no.
that's right. Oh, yeah, Liverpool didn't have an elevator.
No.
So end over end, up 2 flight of stairs, and somehow it was working. And you had cable internet too, didn't you?
I did.
Fuck.
And he had Foxtel.
Oh, mate, it was.
And he had Foxtel before Foxtel was shit. And I'm telling you, he was living
Before the
at
ads
large.
came in.
Yeah, he was living at large because these were the days, and I've told this story, man, about you, where about how you used to have the wrestling on.
Did you pick up the ringtone?
No, what was the ringtone?
Mass Effect.
We'll talk about that. We'll fucking get into that.
We'll get to that soon.
But you had this. You had cable internet,
Fuck me.
cable TV.
It's better than I have now.
Oh, mate, I'm telling you, he was living at large. It wasn't a big place, but it was big for one person.
Yeah, it was
right.
2-bedroom.
2-bedroom. One was aesthetic. Oh, no, one was a spare bedroom you made.
Yeah, I left a spare bedroom.
Yeah, then it was your
Main
room,
bedroom.
and then you had a study in the corner.
Yep.
And then, you had all the gear and all that stuff, and then you had this thing called an Xbox, and I'm like, okay, what's this? And I was really impressed with your TV. And then you're like, I'll show you this thing called Halo. Dun, dun, dun. And you fired up Halo, and the whole time I'm like this Sony fanboy going, man, yeah, I hear the specs are better, but it doesn't seem better to me. And then you played Halo, and I had to admit, there was no way the PlayStation was ever going to play a game like Halo. Never.
No, but then again,
Never.
Microsoft had the advantage of how many years?
Quite a few.
Yeah, between the PS2 and their release. So to be fair,
Yeah, to be fair, but they also had, it was clear that they had a good sense of where things were going to go. We didn't see where it was going to go towards like the 360, but that was a...
And the interesting thing is, on the original Xbox, there wasn't that many really good games, but Halo was one of them.
Yeah.
And that really... That must have made such a huge difference to the sales and also the viability of making the 360.
Look how revolutionary that game was. Because in my eyes, right, that was the first time a first-person shooter, which would traditionally live on a PC, was now on a console. Like, that was PC quality in my eyes, right? And I'm playing that game. We think we did that split-screen thing where we did local co-op or whatever it was, or local multiplayer.
Yeah.
And that was like amazing. And then I remember there was another game you showed me. I think it was San Andreas you had at one point. And I had it on the PlayStation 2. And I never really liked San Andreas. And I remember going, yeah, this thing, there's no way the PlayStation 2 can do this. No fucking way, you know. And then obviously you lead into the Xbox 360. And what a awesome time that was.
It's peak Microsoft, mate. Or peak Microsoft game.
I know. Everything about that, man. I've talked about this, and I'm not going to go over it again.
Let's not revisit old ground.
Just how awesome that is. And then the games, and one of the big games that came out, we'll talk about it, right? Mass Effect.
Aren't you playing it again?
Yep. This is why I'm obsessed, because I'm playing it again, right? And I played Mass Effect 2 again probably about 2 or 3 months ago on the PlayStation 3. And that was a bit of a battle for the PlayStation 3, trust.
Yes.
Right. And then, but I'll tell you what, I'm playing Mass Effect 3 again now on the PS3, and it's running it fine. And it does go le puff, le pant.
I can just imagine those fans go.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't want to know what's going on in those, with that you know, the cell processor and all the...
Doesn't matter. You got a spare.
Does the emotion core work?
That was the PS2. That was
PS2 had the emotion core.
That was the emotion engine.
It's emotion. It's emotion.
Yeah, that was the PS2, and the PS3. Ken Kutaragi did more coke, and then he did the cell processor.
He did a bucket of coke, and then he goes, "Oh,
Ken
yeah."
Kutaragi did a fucking line of coke.
Let's just make some architecture that no one can develop on, and just make it so bad.
But then he must have done a line of coke off some hooker's ass, and then he convinced the board. He convinced everybody.
He must have taken them with him.
Do you know
that's right? They all went. They all went to the what do you call it?
But you know now, Pedro, I don't know if you know this. You're a massive nerd. You probably do. That at one point Sony was going to adopt that cell processor for everything that they did. Their phones, their notebooks, whatever
even
it was.
their PCs probably.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were going to use the cell processor for everything. And Ken Kutaragi was like the big prophet of this is the future. Fuck this other technology that's out there. But Mass Effect was is something I'm playing again, and I just think even now it's awesome.
It is a great game.
Yeah, well, you know how I feel about it. I'm massively sort of nerd love for that whole series right up until the last 15 minutes of the third game.
But you've got a gift.
Well,
you've got a gift
or a curse.
Oh, it's probably a curse these days, but you've got a gift where you seem to know like in-depth detail of certain things that no one else would know. Like recently when I played Mass Effect 2 again, and I said to you on the phone, man, I fucked up the suicide mission, which is the last mission of the game, right? And you're like, okay, well, did you do the loyalty missions for all the characters? And I went, yeah, I did all the friendship missions or loyalty missions. I did all that. And you've gone, you know what your problem was? You didn't take account the squishies. And I've gone, what the fuck's a squishy? And you're like, well, each character has different points or something that's assigned to it. And if you make the wrong decision in sending somebody over to, you know, defend this area as opposed to this other area, their squishy effect or the squishy factor means that they're probably going to get killed.
Can you articulate that in a way
slightly
better than what he did?
I'm not sure. It's so far down to the deep, dark depths of nerddom that it's like...
Trust me, our audience will totally appreciate
understand.
So
or two people.
So this is the sad thing. Like my brain, as we know, works in weird ways. Not always wonderful, but very weird ways. And some things I can remember, like certainly not my kids' birthdays or their names or anything like that. But I can remember every single action that you can do in Mass Effect 2 from start to finish, as you know from when I ran you through the quick speed.
See, that's why, like Charles and Eddie, would I lie to you? I didn't lie to my audience when I said you came over that day and you
after
played.
You got done over.
Yeah, well, I got broken into and everything. A lot of stuff got stolen, and one of the things that got stolen was my Xbox 360. And I remember you being super excited about ME3, and you saying, "Well, you know what? I can't let you go into Mass Effect 3 without
your save game,
an imported save game."
Oh, what a fucking waste
of
time.
That's
now we know.
Now we fucking know. I mean, it was a waste of time, and that's why we got burnt with Mass Effect 3. And when I told Super Simon this, he couldn't believe it. When I told him, you fucking did Mass Effect 2 in one day, in one sitting. pretty much.
Yeah, well, there's a whole separate little gaming thing.
I mean, we
about
played it
speed
on
runs,
easy
right?
and that.
Yeah, we played it easy just because we wanted
Yeah.
a save file. But there's a whole thing about speed runs, right? And so I'm not in that kind of league. I don't speed run.
You go
games
deep,
generally.
you don't go quick.
Yes, so I'm
That's what she
big,
said.
Big into the, oh yeah, there we go. And so, but I'm big into the narrative games, which is why Mass Effect really captured
great.
my imagination. And so it's because of the narrative that I remember how to get through that game and what to do. And the big draw card that wasn't really done in a lot of games up until that point in Mass Effect 2 was the suicide mission. And the fact that, you spent the entire game exploring this narrative, doing loyalty missions, learning, getting your crew together and doing all that sort of stuff. And then you go into this final mission and it's told ahead of time, right? You're going to probably lose some of the people. And I'm thinking, I don't want to lose anyone. I've played this game. I like this crew. And so the first time I played it, I remember I went through it and, I did everything I could to try and keep everyone alive. And I lost like 2 or 3 characters. And I'm like, why? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And so I being the massive nerd, got on the net and I was reading up on this and reading up on that. And what really burnt me, and I still hate you for this.
What?
When I spoke to you about it, you went, "Oh no, I didn't lose anyone." The
that's
time you played
right.
it, you fluked
I
it.
totally asked it,
Yes.
man. I remember that. Actually, there's 2 times you've... Okay, there's only 2 times I can remember off the top of my head that you rang me where you said, fuck you. The first one...
Actually, no,
I was
there's
gonna say-
way more.
No, in terms of gaming. In terms of gaming, right? Because I'll always say this guy's way better at gaming than I am, right? The first one, and this will blow his mind that I can even remember this, was he rings me up randomly one day and goes, "Gobble, gobble, you fuck." And what it was is that I got the achievement in Grand Theft Auto 4, which was you had to get 3 strikes of bowling in a row.
Yes.
And I asked that to him completely. I jinxed it, like somehow pulled that off. I don't know how. And you've gone, fuck you, I've spent like an hour trying to do that or something, you said.
This is back in the day, pre kids, when I had time to waste on achievements.
When you had 2 hours to waste on bowling.
Yes. Inside of a video
A mini game
that's
inside.
not, that's not about. But yes.
Right.
And the shame. Yes.
And the other one was that exact thing, like the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2, which was very fluky. Like I just somehow didn't realize it, but I did get the achievement for getting everybody safely through, and I didn't even know how I did it. And you said, I fucking didn't get it. Yeah. I didn't get it done, and I had to load it up again and do all of it again.
So being as burnt as I was, I found out, jump on it, what's going on. And of course, like every time I think to myself, I can't get much nerdier than what I am. There's people out on the internet that prove that I'm almost normal. Which
You're actually pretty.
Which is one of the great things
these
about the
days.
internet.
You're actually pretty cool, which is hard to believe.
I know, right? But the so nerds out there have been playing the game and they've figured out that there's actually some mechanics built into the back end of the suicide mission. And so there's the obvious ones where as you do the mission, if you haven't done the loyalty things, various characters can die just because they do. But if you've done the loyalty missions, they're fine. If you do all the upgrades on the ship, everything's good. And you get there and you start doing the various little mini missions that you have to do. And again, there's a couple of choices you have to make. Do I send Tali into the engineering vents to shut off to open the gates and things like that, or do I send some numpty like Rex or something who doesn't understand how to turn a switch on?
Yeah.
And of course, if you pick the wrong character there,
They get shot or killed.
someone dies, or they die, or someone dies. And so again, I got all those choices right, and so I'm like, what happened? Why did I lose people at the end? Right at the end, after you kill the big stupid human Reaper thing, and you run off, and all of a sudden you have less people on the ship, and they've died, off camera effectively. You didn't know who you lost, and what it turns out is, and you don't see this in a lot of games. It's not arbitrary. It was actually designed so that, that does make it arbitrary. It's not random. It's designed so each character in the crew, depending upon their decided what Bio Ware decided would be their, I guess, hardness value or toughness value, right? They would be able to, because you take 2 characters with you to fight the Reaper, and then you have the rest of them what's called holding the line.
Right.
And they're supposed to stop the rest of the bad guys from attacking you while you deal with the big Reaper thing. Now, the hold the line had a whole little algorithm built into it. And depending upon who you left behind to hold the line depends upon how many you lose. And the only way not to lose anyone is to send, to put the what they call non-squishies or the tough guys to hold the line. So you have to take the weaker characters or what are perceived to be the easily killed characters like Miranda or Morden, and anyone that's like, so you want Grunt there, you want these guys that are the soldiers. They stay to hold the line, and you take the weaker ones to fight the Reaper. And if you do that, everything's sweet.
Kind of makes sense though, right? Because they want you to have a more
does,
difficult.
but
it wasn't spelled out.
No,
and it's kind of like, because it was at that time when it would. Right now, you wouldn't see a game do that because it's gotten to the point where they spell everything out for you all the time, and so they don't want people to feel gypped.
It fucking annoys me.
Yeah, right.
I like
in the old school, like it had these weird things where like
shit goes wrong.
What
the fuck?
went wrong? I've got to figure out what went wrong, and you don't see it. So for me, it was almost jarring to sort of, but it also added to the whole.
It makes you want to play it again as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I've played it twice, and I love that game a lot.
How often do you play it, Pedro?
Maybe once a year.
I mean, Mass Effect 2 is my...
It's like reading a book for me.
For me, I'm going to say it's my second favourite game of all time.
That's a big call.
Yeah, it is, because I'll say Half-Life 2 is my favourite. I've never... What's your favourite game? I've never
That's
asked
a
you
fucking
that.
really good question.
I've never asked him this.
Mine's easy.
What's yours?
Mine's Oblivion. Elder Scrolls.
You love that. Yeah, I know you fucking love it.
Fuck, I love
Well,
that game.
you know what? See,
I've played it so many times. So.
That's, I mean, when the 360 came out and I saw Oblivion running on that, I went...
You told me about it and I bought
went,
a fucking 360.
Holy shit, this thing's running Oblivion. This thing's a PC, but a small little thing under my TV. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Plus all the other stuff, which made it awesome. But what's your favourite?
It's a tough one. I
don't know what... I've never asked you this.
Yeah, look, there's... on the criteria of which game probably made the most impact, it'd be Mass Effect 2, because that's the one.
Oh yeah.
So from that perspective, but in terms of a game that I've spent the most time playing, see that goes back to.
So you've played a lot of Diablo too.
I played a lot of Diablo. I played a lot of XCOM, the original XCOM.
Yeah, he loved XCOM.
Played a lot of that. So it's hard to say, but yeah, if I got if you point a gun at me, don't do that. But if you point a gun at me, I'll say Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, I just think, you know what it is? I love the story of that game. I just love the characters. It's such a character-driven game. Like, literally every character you're forced to interact with. And otherwise, you're going to fail that mission. Yeah. You're not going to get anywhere.
And look, and there's a lot of flaws in it, right? It's not a perfect
No,
game.
it's not now, no.
And it never was. No. But and I guess that kind of shows, where especially as I've gotten older and I've gotten, more shitty at the Twitch shooters. Like, I used to be reasonably good at Counter-Strike. Right? You put me in front of it now, I'll last about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I've really appreciated the narrative, a well-written narrative, and which is why, Mass Effect Andromeda, which I'm going to have to go wash my mouth out with soap now. But that's why that hurt so much, because like the narrative just wasn't there.
That game, the
whole world they had to work with, and they just.
Yeah. Oh, I really okay. You know what? I want to talk to you now while we're talking about Mass Effect. The excitement that you had leading into Andromeda, because you were the only person I heard out of anybody that I was listening to on the net, anybody in person, about the lore. About the Mass Effect lore and why you were excited about Andromeda, because you said if they actually pick up on the lore, then this is going to be awesome. And of course they didn't do it.
I was going to say, you must have been pissed.
But the actual lore was fucking awesome. When Pedro explained it to me, I went, holy shit, if they do this, amazing. And why they dropped the ball on it is insane. It doesn't make any sense. Because going into Mass Effect 3, I'm about probably halfway now, and like replaying it again on the PS3, and I've noticed that it's probably not as strong with the character stuff because you don't have to do loyalty missions per se like you did in ME2, and little things are annoying. Like in my second run of Mass Effect on the PlayStation 3, I got Morden through, for example, the suicide mission, but he fucking just dies straight away pretty much in ME3 because he goes and saves the Krogan. If you choose,
Oh yeah, well he's with you for a while.
he's with you for a bit, and then he just climbs the.
You know he doesn't have to die.
Oh, here we go. Really?
Yes.
No, what, I fucked up, did I? I've killed Morden.
Well, no, it's and to be fair, that's why like ME3 for me was a really good
It
game.
was, yeah, it
right
is.
up and the ending they just rushed it. They had to get it out. It was like, and again, I don't, it's everyone out there in the internet rags on EA and how they.
No, but BioWare wrote it. That's what I
wrote it,
say.
but it got rushed at the end.
Yeah.
Right? They could. There was, and I honestly think. I mean, they lost. What's his name? Drew Karpyshyn, who was the writer in ME1, ME2.
Yep.
And they had.
What's his name? Casey?
Huh?
What's his name? Casey something?
Oh no, Casey Affleck. No, that's
No, Casey Affleck. That's an actor.
I know, right? No, it's Casey Hudson.
Casey Hudson. Yeah.
So Casey Hudson was like the producer director, I think.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong, but the main writer was a guy called Mac something or other. He took over from Drew I'm going to get Karpyshyn wrong, but whatever. But yeah, so they had a different writer in ME3, and when he was working with the existing stuff, it was fine. But I think as big as the game was and all the narrative threads, it was going to be so hard to stick the landing at the finish. I feel for them.
I feel for him, and
because
I think
it was hard.
Yeah, and I think you know what? It wouldn't have mattered what they did. They wouldn't. People wouldn't have been happy, but they really.
Some people wouldn't have been happy, but nobody was.
No,
happy
nobody
with
was
what
happy
they did.
with that.
And that's because it was flippant. All these like they didn't even pick up one. Like they
You know what it was? At the end of the day, it's very simple. I'm the living example of why people are pissed. Because you came over here and spent basically a day playing Mass Effect 2 again to get me a save file to import into ME3 because we believed it was important to have that, right? To have all those decisions made and import them into ME3, and then that would do something really, really monumentous at the end of the game. And it did nothing. All it was a choose your color simulator. Basically,
yes,
wasn't it?
Yes, with a space ghost child telling you what to do.
Yeah.
So I
Space Ghost Child.
I get why people hated it because I hated it, and
Yeah.
but I also have some sympathy for how they what they were left to deal with trying to tie that all up. But I'll quickly loop back to answer to address the Morden issue. So strap yourself in. It's massively nerdy.
All right, fuck, here we go.
It's massively nerdy, and I know why you couldn't do it. Because you have to be a prick the whole way through.
You have to be Renegade.
Jesus, you think he'd be fucking good at that?
No,
I
I play Paragon.
He plays Paragon.
I always play Paragon.
Well, they often say that you play the opposite of
I
what
was
you
going
are.
to say, he's
I know.
role-playing, right? He's like, what would I if I was a nice human? What would I do?
I always play Paragon.
But that's your problem in this case, because the only way you could have saved him, all the Krogan had to be pretty much stuffed up to get to the point where you could convince him to say, if you let them live, it's going to go bad. So basically you had to let Rex die.
Yep. Okay.
Or kill him in the first game, so he's not about.
Yeah. So he survived in my one.
So Rex is about. So, and the other thing that has to happen is that and I should know the name, although it's an ME3 thing, so I don't know it as well. But you know how you rescue the female Krogan that's fertile?
Oh yeah, which
right?
I did. Yeah. Yep.
If she dies, as well, then basically you say to Morden, look, you're going to leave, because you don't have either of those two responsible Krogans in charge. You've got Rex's brother, who's a nightmare.
Yep.
And you say to him, look, you're going to let the Krogan be led by this person, and then you're going to give him unlimited troops. He's going to wipe out the galaxy. And Morden goes, yeah, you're right. And then he walks away.
Right.
And then you keep Morden.
So basically me being ultra Paragon has killed him.
Yeah, you're never going to save him playing Paragon.
Yeah.
Both.
It's funny, like I said, I'm halfway through
Unless
playing.
you're shit, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm shit too.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm playing it halfway. I'm halfway through it again, ME3, and this is my second time I've played it, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And I think why is because you've only got bite-sized missions. They're not massive missions. They're not going to take.
I missed that.
Yeah.
They're not going to take you 100 hours to finish one mission. And when you do finish them, you're rewarded with a nice bit of narrative or maybe some extra story stuff.
There's so much new games could learn from that.
And
well, this is the big. issue now with gaming. Everything's like it's either pay to win, microtransaction bullshit,
Right.
Yeah.
or it's like, okay, well, we've invested all this money to make the latest Assassin's Creed whatever, and people are going to want, and if we're going to sell it for $70 or whatever, we're going to need to make people think they're getting their money's worth. So let's just pad it with shit and make it a 120-hour game.
Well, that's what I hated about the Assassin's Creed games like Odyssey and Origins, more so Odyssey, which was the Greek one. Now, remember you and I were talking about that because we both studied ancient Egypt and Greece, I think, at school.
Fuki Dai.
Fuki died. We had funny names for everything. We'd be in chemistry, right? And instead of propanol, we'd do like smells like Teen Spirits.
Yeah, Nirvana.
And propanio.
Ethandio.
Here we are now. Propanio. We were so fucking dumb in school. But so that's what I like about Mass Effect 3, and the combat's not bad as well.
It got a lot better, and that was one of my gripes with ME2 was the combat was shit, right?
It was average,
Yeah, but the thing and again, nerding it up, narrative section, right? The reason why ME2 was better from a narrative perspective than ME3 is because you could pace it and it made sense, right? It makes perfect sense if there's no pressing the universe is going to be destroyed by Reapers thing happening right now. That isn't happening in ME2. It's like, okay, you're going to go around and pick up, we're going to pick up the crew, Blues Brothers jaunt, go and pick up the guitar player, get the band, the good old boys, and
You're the good old boys.
You're going to look pretty funny eating corn in the car. We got no fucking
teeth. We got both kinds, country and west.
Stand by your man.
It's never a bad time for a Blues Brother breakout.
No.
But so because you had you could go and do these little side missions and rescue Miranda's sister and do this and do this. And it made sense because you're just puttering around, getting shit together. But in ME3, like people are dying by the millions every minute.
You're in a hurry. You're trying to get shit done.
And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, let's go out and have drinks with Miranda in the Citadel. Like people are dying.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, the one thing about ME3 that's clever is that they got the war status or whatever it is, and it shows you how ready you are to take on the Reapers.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that's pretty cool, and it sort of builds up a sense of purpose too, where it says, okay, you have to get all these aliens on side. And then if you don't do that, then your final mission's going to be pretty almost impossible, right? And so that's what I like about it, but it doesn't build up the... I kind of like the ME2s, like you've got to go find like Garrus, for example, the Archangel.
Yeah.
And once you find him, then he's got a problem, and if you help him out with his little problem, then he becomes loyal.
Yeah.
So going back to your squishies in the suicide mission, my understanding was, if I'm wrong, correct me, if you haven't done his loyalty mission going into the suicide mission, he probably doesn't make it anyway. Is that right? Or does he not even get that far?
So it depends. There's certain characters, like, when you go through the Mass Effect, oh my God, I've forgotten the name of it. The warp point.
Oh, now I've forgotten. You've killed me.
I can't believe I can't
It's
remember.
old age,
anyway,
man.
so you shoot through and you end up in the center of the galaxy, and shit's going everywhere.
Yeah.
And you end up having this massively long cutscene. And there's different sections, right?
Yep.
So there's one where Jack is near the engine core. And if you haven't upgraded the engine core, she's standing for, I don't know why. Who knows why she's standing there?
I didn't like Jack.
She went, well,
I didn't. She's the only character I could go, you know what, fuck your loyalty mission. I don't care if you die.
I appreciate what they were trying to do with the character. Like, she was a little bit, like, different, and I get it. Like, I agree. Like, it wasn't well executed. ME3 Jack was a bit better, but again, it was
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't. This is the thing. You know what's really weird? Like I said, I'm playing it again, and I'm like, where are all the characters I once knew? They're not here. And I know they survived my suicide mission from ME2.
Well, do you remember much about ME3?
No, I don't. See, I don't. That's the whole thing.
Because only a handful of them join you again. And the others are only having little, like,
cameos.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that I come across as a cameo, Shepard's like, I wish you could join us again on the Normandy. And they're like, no, I've got shit to do with this chick, and I've got shit to do with that thing. And, Yeah, they're not really interested in, and I found that really strange. Like, why wouldn't they be part of the Alliance and be part of Shepard's crusade to try and take on the Reapers? Why have they got better? They have surely there are things they've got to do aren't better.
They couldn't afford the voice actors.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That could be. I mean, they had a bigger budget, but I think it's more a case of because they wanted to have these new characters.
Yeah.
Like Freddie Prinze.
Freddie Prinze.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Who was Freddie Prinze Jr.?
He's Vega.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There you go.
So I've learned a lot of shit.
I know.
Yeah.
See, I remember this stuff. I don't know why. I should be able to remember, important things. But I remember this stuff.
And see, leading to Andromeda, you got to give me the background of the lore as to why Andromeda. This is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Should have been better than
should have been like really amazing from a story perspective, but it ended up being totally shit. And that was the whole idea of the expeditionary force going to Andromeda to set up camp there. Correct me if I'm wrong. On the idea that if Shepard failed back in the Milky Way or the galaxy that we're in, if he failed against the Protheans, then at least there would be still survivors of the Alliance in Andromeda, because they thought Andromeda would be far enough away from where the action was that they'd survive. Is that right?
Yeah,
roughly.
It's
which is
the
cool.
Concept. I know, yeah, and it's a cool concept, right? And this comes down to the whole secret society stuff, and all everything has them, right? So Marvel's got Hail Hydra and all this sort of stuff. So the secret society in Mass Effect is Cerberus. Right?
Yep.
From the very first game, you're dealing with Cerberus, and Cerberus is up to no good, and they're experimenting on people and watching soldiers die.
And they're stealing alien technology and all that stuff. Yeah.
And so it was a sort of it didn't really come out a lot in the first game, but in the second game, obviously Cerberus is a big thing because Shepard's resurrected by Cerberus, right? Yeah. And he works for Cerberus for so long, and so Cerberus
and he hangs out with that Miranda. Oh yeah.
Voiced by and facial mocap by Yvonne Stravinsky. I can't remember. Australian actress,
yeah.
Anyway, you work for Martin Sheen, right? In Mass Effect 2, the Elusive Man.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's good. He's good. And I kept on thinking I was working for President Bartlett because I'm a massive West Wing fan. So I kept on imagining.
But his voice acting was so awesome in that. Like he's done it for so. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was his first voice acting gig.
Oh,
Mass Effect.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm pulling that on my ass. I think it might be because he's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
as a voice actor.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be. I mean,
you wouldn't have him on everything, but as the Elusive Man, he was perfect.
He was very, very good. So you got the Elusive Man, right? And he's got all these schemes hatching left, right, and center. And one of the schemes going into Andromeda. So this is a continuation of what happened after Mass Effect 2, but he got into motion the idea, and behind the scenes, it wasn't Cerberus doing this, it was the Earth Alliance, whatever the hell they call them. And they were going to set up the expedition to the Andromeda Galaxy, being the closest galaxy to the Milky Way.
Yep.
So if the Reapers completely wipe out...
If Shepard fails,
which it looked like he was going to... Well, actually, I think they actually had this in motion
I think there's documentation early in the game that says they had it ready to go before him.
Yeah, so it left.
But it was on the idea still if Shepard failed.
Yeah, it was like, well, even if it's Shepard, if it's everyone, like if they come, and because Cerberus knew it actually was going to happen, whereas everyone else was like, no, Reapers. But the Cerberus knew it was happening, so they made the Earth Alliance do this expeditionary force to Andromeda, and the concept was that they were going to sort of set up their own, humanity, and it was going to be a far-flung sort of outpost, and there wasn't going to be sort of enormous communication between the two because they had to go into stasis and all that sort of stuff. But the interesting thing that I thought was going to happen was that, and this is where the nerd really comes out.
This is big. Jason Relaxation, strap yourself in.
Only
Dude,
just now.
No, this is fucking big, man.
Oh,
he dropped this bombshell on me just before the launch of Andromeda, and I'm like, fuck.
And I'm like, I can't believe they didn't run with it. But anyway, so... And again, this is like you really big Star Wars fans that read the extended universe stuff. Right? I never really got into it, but I know that there's Star Wars fans that just go nuts over the everything, and then they go to the movies and they cry because it's like, oh, there's so much better stories in Star Wars than this crap. So this was a bit like what happened with me here, because I in between ME2 and ME3, and even after ME3, I got really into the Mass Effect lore, and
Is
reading comic books.
There's comics, isn't there?
Comic books and things like that, just to learn a little bit more about it. Anyway, so I read a comic book about the Elusive Man, a bit of his backstory, and his name is Jack Harper.
Right.
His actual name, rather than being Mr.
The Elusive Man,
Mr. Man.
And he heads up Cerberus.
Yeah, and he heads up Cerberus, right? So I knew all this and read all this, and then when they introduced the characters for Mass Effect Andromeda, sure enough, one of the main characters is called Cora Harper.
His daughter. Dun, dun,
Surely that is Jack Harper, the Elusive Man's daughter, and that's going to allow to tie in all these interesting little side plots around Cerberus, even though they're back in the Milky Way getting their asses kicked. Cerberus has, got their claws into the Andromeda mission, and that would allow for a lot of really interesting narrative to come out, and it just didn't.
Yeah, because
there's
Cora,
little bits and pieces. But
Cora was the blonde-haired chick in Andromeda, wasn't she?
One of the many sort of forgettable companions.
Very forgettable. But you told me she potentially is the daughter of the Elusive Man.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
leading up, because they like they always do. They pre-launch the characters and cutscenes, and they introduce you to them to do the hype.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be really cool. And then you play it, and
yeah, it didn't lead to anything. But when you told me that, I went, "This is amazing." But this is before we played the game too, by the way. And you're like, you know what? I think Cora Harper is actually the Elusive Man's daughter, and she's part of the Andromeda mission. Therefore, the Elusive Man's got his claws still. Cerberus has still got his claws in this mission, and they can do anything. And so every time you go out on a mission, maybe she's going to backstab you in some way, or Cerberus is behind it, or whatever. And I thought, how awesome's that? But it was never mentioned. It was dropped like a lead balloon.
Coincidence.
Fly to this planet, pick up 10 bits of random garbage, and fly back again. Oh yeah, that's a great mission.
It was awful. It was awful. I don't care. And you know what I hate, Pedro, is how everyone likes to throw mud at EA, and they deserve it. But at the end of the day, it was Bioware that wrote this.
There was lots of problems with.
And they had their B team on it.
They definitely used their B team, but they used a lot of outsourced providers as well. And one of the things that Mass Effect Andromeda gets pilloried for, and rightly so,
facial animation
when they released it, and
that was outsourced.
Yeah. And there was so many problems, and it was because there is this thing in the gaming industry that the private houses like CD Projekt Red, they can, even though they have investors and they have to answer to that, the investors are on board with like, it's done when it's done.
Yeah.
And so if we need to push Cyberpunk 2077 back.
It will be.
That's right. It'll be 3077 by the time we get it.
Yeah. How much are you looking forward to that?
I can't wait.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, because, you got me into The Witcher.
Yeah, deep down inside, I really want to. I want another Witcher.
And that would have been my other.
Yeah, that's my second.
From a narrative and gameplay perspective, The Witcher.
2 and 3 are fantastic.
2 and 3 are brilliant.
Well, I really like 3. 2, I struggled with the combat a bit.
It's not as fluid.
And I draw a lot of parallels with Witcher 2 and Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Combat in both is shit.
It's awful.
But the narratives
are really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other game you got me into? It's big. Dead Space.
Yes.
You got me into because Dead Space. Actually, I've downloaded it for $5 on the PS3, and I'm going to play it again.
So that was one of those. For me, that was one of those series that sort of went off the rails.
Yeah. Can you? Well, do you remember Dead Space 3 was great, and it was so eerie. It was such a horror type game, and then the second one was okay. I just thought it was a bit too long, but it was okay. It was okay. But then they said, okay, Dead Space 3. We're going to launch this co-op type stuff. And you and I were excited because you and I have always enjoyed co-op type games. And I was like, okay, let's play it. And I think at one point you and I might have just said at the same time, this is getting boring now. It doesn't want to end. It just keeps dragging on and. And
it was an example of a game that sort of drawn out unnecessarily.
Yeah.
And, back when we were 18 and living in our parents'
basement,
or in my case, living in the granny flat, when I could afford to stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning getting the Tire Defender, when that was perfect for them.
Yeah.
But now it's like don't waste my time.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. I don't want to wait. I hate that as well. I hate having my time, feeling like I'm not getting anywhere and it's being wasted. I just had a microphone malfunction. Because the other thing that we both loved was Fear. Remember Fear?
Oh, that was good. Fear 3.
Well,
Fear and Fear 3.
there was Fear, and then I think there was Fear 2, and then Fear 3 was the co-op game.
Yeah. And that worked. See, the reason why I think the co-op Dead Space wasn't as good is because Dead Space is a scary game.
Yeah, and it lost all of that.
It's not scary with two people.
It was the same as Fear. Fear didn't have its scary
But Fear 3 didn't really play on the scare factor so much as, it had the spooky, but it really became a co-op shooter game. And it had some interesting co-op mechanics. But there's some really, you and I, if you put a half-assed co-op into a game, you and I will play it. We're happy to play it. Yeah. Like Dead Rising. It's
Dead Rising,
one of the clunkiest games in the universe, but we love playing it.
Well, we fucking laugh our asses off. We put a dress on. The character puts it, like we find these dresses and we run in and out of shops smashing glasses everywhere and we'll just laugh.
You guys are fucked.
But one of the best co-op games we ever played was Dying Light. Do you remember how that was fucking awesome?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, and the second one's been delayed to I don't know when now.
Or Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
That's got some interesting ideas, but that's our shtick.
Yeah, co-op games. Well, that's why I think we liked Halo. Although didn't we have a fucking rant about Halo? Dude, listen to this.
Is this a Master Chief collection?
Yeah. Oh, mate. This is the only time I've ever seen Pedro lose it. Like, really get the shits with a game and go, fuck this game. We were playing the Master Chief collection, which, by the way, has been out for a long time, which, by the way, has had so many updates. Mm-hmm. I think we were playing Halo 4 and we're about 3/4 of the way through it. And then I think both of us had to change our controller batteries or put in a new controller, something like this. And as soon as I put the new controller back up, the whole thing just froze, right?
Sorry.
The whole thing froze.
I've had the same experience.
Right, but you know what the best bit is? Yeah. The game's just gone, well, I'm glad that you've played 3/4 of it, but
that's enough now.
You know what? I'm just going to forget you did.
Yeah.
And we're like, huh? What?
Yeah, go back.
And
all the mission completion.
So we spent
back to the start.
We just spent like 2 or 3 hours on this fucking game, and Pedro's gone, everything we've done tonight means nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes,
it meant a lot to me.
He goes, it's nothing now. It's all gone. And I'm like,
it vanishes.
What does that mean? And you're like, we won't get our fucking achievements. I'm like,
it's weird, bro, because I don't really give a crap about much of that anymore, but I used to.
Oh yeah, used to love it.
Used to be like really into achievement, and we used to compete on it and things like that. Yeah. And when I play Xbox, not PlayStation, but when I play Xbox co-op with you, the old achievement hunter comes out.
I still like my trophies, man. Like on the PlayStation, I still like it. But I don't go chasing platinums and do silly things like we used to do with Michael, the Drunken Monkey used to go over there to his place and have these gamer point parties and dinners and just deliberately get like 10,000 achievements in one night.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember he hooked you up with, what was it, Avatar The Last Airbender or something, because you can get 1,000 gamer points by pressing the button 50 times and you're done.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore, and you'll never see me play. I think the cheapest one on the PlayStation 3 to get like a platinum is Hannah Montana or some bullshit.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll never lower myself. But you played
Christmas present.
But you played some shit games too. Was it Jericho? What game was that? It was an awful game. Unanimously.
Is that the worst game ever?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it wasn't the worst game ever. You and Michael gave me shit for that, but to paraphrase Michael, as you do, with a really bad accent, I was entertained.
When he hears that, he's going to laugh. You go to a shit movie with that guy, and you just go, fuck that movie. And he goes, I was entertained. Like the new Star Wars movie, right? Which I've still not seen. I've still not seen.
Don't.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
You saw it?
Yes.
Is it shit?
Yes.
Is it everything what they say, or is it just nerd rage for nerd rage's sake, or is it just shit?
Look, it's a steaming dump fire, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's a bad narrative. They've got it's Star Wars, right? So you go there and you're not expecting something brilliant, but it's just bad.
Do you know what's funny?
Right.
When the Rotten Tomatoes score for Sonic the Hedgehog is significantly
They reckon
better
that's
than it is.
good.
They reckon it's great.
They reckon it's great. Sonic the Hedgehog, they reckon's a great movie.
Well, they got crazy 80s Jim Carrey playing. What's his name?
Yeah. Well, you know what? He'd be perfect as Dr. Eggman. Is it Eggman or?
Yeah, whatever.
Eggnik or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, something like that. You know, Dr.
Robotnik.
Robotnik, yeah. He would be good as that, you know. But it's crazy when a movie like that outdoes Birds of Prey. Have you heard that? It's sold more money than Birds of Prey, which is this. But see,
But I'm told Birds of Prey isn't that bad.
you know what it says to me? People have had enough of comic book movies. I'm sorry.
I've had enough of comic book movies.
That's
too.
what I think. You know?
No, it's yeah. There's only so much you can go, and it's got to go downhill at some point.
You know what? It's like everything, man. We used to love Star Wars, and we would never, back in the 90s, in your granny flat that you had, we would never have thought that gaming would go to the way of, say, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption, where everybody loved that fucking game, and I went, this is shit.
Ugh.
Right? And I feel bad.
Fallout 4.
And,
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4 was this, but it wasn't as bad as Red Dead.
Red Dead killed me.
Right? It wasn't, you know. And
I rage quit several occasions.
This is what happens when games are now, instead of being made by a creative director who goes, this is where we want to go and this is what we want to do and I've got this idea, and you still see it sometimes in the indie market. And they'll do something like one of my favorite games this year that I've played with the kids, Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, I've got that on the Xbox.
Absolutely,
I've downloaded
like
it. Okay.
simple, quick,
Yeah.
easy, clever.
Easy achievements? Or?
Easy, well, yes.
Is it?
Easy achievements.
You can get some good achievements on it?
You can.
Oh, I might
but
get the
but yeah,
PlayStation
simple
trophies.
ideas executed well, and they don't try to be more than what they are.
Right.
Whereas so many big gaming companies now, it becomes like we need to make money out of this.
Yeah,
And so they have a creative idea, and then that gets bent out of shape by market testing and by, you know, the board goes, oh, well, you know, my kid really likes this, you know, Fortnite, so we need to make sure that this has got this thing in it, and it's got this and it's got this. So having people that have got no business telling a creative person what to put in their game are now got command.
You know my theory, and I've said this a lot, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. I know I am. I honestly believe these days, not only games, but movies, but more so movies, there's a board of directors or there's a group of writers that says, oh, we need to tick all the fucking boxes. And that way we make sure that we haven't excluded anybody, right? And I keep saying it. You know who they exclude, Pedro? The fucking nerd! The bored nerd like me that fucking made them in the first place. We were the fucking first. Were they there in our fucking dad's garage or fucking granny flat with our 486 computers playing fucking Doom in the 40-degree heat? No!
That's when you could have a PC running in 40-degree heat without it wanting to shit
Oh,
itself.
no. That was in the good old days. Oh, mate, I tell you, that machine was fucking great.
The DX266.
Oh, yeah, we got the DX266, but I don't think it was as cool as that 486 Pedro had, because that was like...
I thought Pedro had a 386, but
No, he had a
486.
486 DX33.
It must have been Foz who had the 386.
He had Foz, shout out to it. Where is that prick anyway?
He needs to get his
He needs
ass
to
on the
come
show.
on. Well, Pedro's done it now. He's the
Yeah,
fucking
that's it.
last.
He's the laggard.
He's the laggard now, that little prick. Pedro, it's a very short podcast.
What's it up to?
108.
Really?
Yep.
What else have we got? I've got 20 minutes and then I have to...
Oh, you wanted to rant about Japan. Or for Nintendo or something.
Nintendo.
Yeah, what was your problem?
Well, do you know the shirt that you ordered, the one with the Mario faces?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this was possible. But we got a copyright strike for an image that I drew based on fan art
Yep.
of what looks like Mario and Luigi. If you know Mario and Luigi, it does not look exactly like Mario and Luigi.
Well, you know what?
Yet it was good enough for me to have drawn and spent hours drawing those Marios to get a copyright strike. And that's why your shirt hasn't been delivered yet.
Do I get a refund?
Yeah, I've already been given the refund.
So let's go through this. So, Jason Relaxation, if we have a problem with our store, can you get refunds?
Of course you can.
How do we do that?
you contact me, and Rocket Russell knows how to do that. There's a web form for it, but fucking Rocket Russell pinged me.
He was the first prick. He fucking didn't like something, and he contacted him. He goes, "I got a response." He didn't realize it was from you. and then initially, after a while, he kind of did. Okay, well, fuck, there's only one person working on this bullshit operation, and it's Jason Relaxation, so you can get refunds.
Yeah, of course you can. But yeah, the idea
And we take PayPal.
We take all.
So we can get a refund.
That's it, and we basically don't make any profit at all.
We make no profit.
0 cents at all.
0 cents, Pedro.
It's been calculated so that whatever profits do come in go straight to
and it's high quality cotton, Pedro.
Well, I have one on the way. So
you've ordered one?
Well, I had to. How often do you get your own T-shirt?
That's it.
Pedro is real.
You'll never get your own T-shirt ever again. That's a one-off.
I'll make another one.
Well, you know what?
Because I can make it now. Pedro is real.
Pedro was real, and just like Charles and Eddie,
easy design.
Would I lie to you, baby? Would I lie to you? And then Pedro, you go, oh yeah.
No.
Pedro, thank you for coming in, man. Have you got anything else you want to say about memory lane, about gaming? You know what? Let me ask you one question before we go.
No, please.
Your favorite gaming decade? Because we've been gaming a long time, dude. So you go back to the 80s, right? We're the same age. So you go back to probably the early 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 10s, and now, well, this year's been abysmal so far. I've not bought anything. So what's your favorite decade? I'm going to answer it easily if I had to answer it.
Well, would you like to go first?
No, I don't want to influence.
Oh. Well, look, it's got to be the 90s for me.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because I can't believe the change in that decade. That decade started with think about it. It started with Mega Drives and started with, not even Super Nintendos because that came out in 91. But it started off with that and it ended off with high-end PCs with CD-ROMs and full motion video and Wing Commander and all that stuff. That's amazing shit.
Wing Commander. What a great game.
Mark
Hamill.
Yeah. But see, that game ended a bit weird. Yeah, it didn't.
The fourth one?
The fourth one was nowhere near as good as the third.
The third was fantastic.
The
Kilrathi, the cats. Yeah.
See, why don't they do remasters of that shit?
Oh, fuck it.
You know what I mean? Like, why doesn't EA remaster the Mass Effect trilogy?
Well, that's the interesting.
I want someone to make
right?
TIE Fighter.
Yeah, I mean, have we got to that point? Because we've seen a few remasters come out or reimaginings, right? So for me, a big thing that came out in the last sort of 7 years has been the remake of the XCOMs. Right?
Yeah, I didn't like the XCOM 2 one.
So XCOM. Which one?
Well, I like
the remake or the XCOM, because there was the remake and then the second remake.
Okay, so I don't think of them as remakes. I think of them as new games reimagined.
They're reimagined.
So the first one I liked. The second one I didn't like, and I had this discussion with Cyberdunk. Shout out to him when he was on here, and I said what I didn't like about the second one was the bullshit factor, because
XCOM's always had bullshit factor,
it had crazy bullshit factor, Pedro. I mean, you're probably the only one that I know that can easily do it without blinking, breaking a sweat.
Yeah, so when some cocksucker friggin' alien decides he's going to travel 3/4 across the map,
they got like 300 movement. They've got like lasers that go through walls.
They got random movement,
and you get mind controlled, and you're like, well, fuck off.
One of the things about the game, and it's why it's it's not perfect. But it's almost the way I see the remake of XCOM, and especially XCOM 2, it's almost like a chess game. You have to know how the things move on the board. And so, for example, one of the things, because you've only started with a small squad, and we've gone down a nerd tunnel here again, but you start off with a small squad, right? And each can do an action, each can do a shot, and you might end up with 3 baddies, and okay, well, I've got to try and take out all 3 of them because someone's going to try and shoot me and I'll lose a soldier and all that sort of stuff. But say, for example, if it's like 2 normal troops and then you got the reimagined sectoid, the big gangly that you hate because he mind controls, right?
That's the whole thing. I love the XCOM as well. I like the story and the lore. And the first game, 1994, when
such a great game.
it started off actually technically in 1999. Remember that? It started off in our future when we were in 1994.
Like the SDF-1.
Yes, like the SD, like Robotech. Yeah, well, that's another
That's
rabbit
a
hole.
whole
Fucking what a rabbit hole that is. I can't do it. I can't.
Just started watching it again with the
I
kids.
can't. It's just too much. I can't do it
We
now.
can't do that now. We'll do it maybe later.
Another time. But
You forgot, didn't you?
Love.
when you actually start off with like pistols and assault rifles.
Yes.
And then you do all the research and you get
biggest
lasers.
the biggest part of that game was the attachment that you ended up having to individual soldiers.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
like there was anything they were just like random dudes that had random names. And I remember playing it with
they got so cool.
with Joel and Jeff. And so you'd they'd have these like random semi-Russian names like Grigov Voltovsky.
Yeah.
And Grigov would end up being like the your
You'd be
best
like-
guy.
you'd be the best guy.
And you know, he'd have this weird sort of guile haircut and he'd be running around and he'd get blaster bombed at some point. You're like, reload, I'm not losing.
Yeah,
I'm not losing Grigov.
How many times would you reload?
Fucking all the time.
Like, you'd have you know what I used to fucking hate about that game? You get your best guy who might be a captain at this point. You give him your best. You've just researched brand new armor,
Plasma and plasma rifle.
plasma, right? And you give him the brand new armor that can float up in the air.
Yep.
So you put him up in the air, so you think he's safe.
No, he gets fucked over.
right?
Gets shot
And
through
he-
a window.
and he gets shot through a window. Or he gets mind controlled. And
then he goes and kills other
because
people.
he's so fucking good, he then kills another 5 of his squad members. And then the last 2, one of them panics, and then she runs off somewhere, and you're left with one guy, and you're like, in one turn, I went from 8 characters, and now I've got 1.
And it's the
And
fucking
you're like,
little runt.
and you're like, oh, fuck this game.
So it's a little, you'd probably find it cheesy, but you have to you play it like chess. So you got 3 guys and you go, all right, I know what those 2 do and I can't let them live, so I'm going to focus on getting rid of them. But the third one, the sectoid, he's probably going to try and mind control one of my guys, and he's going to mind control, but that's his turn. And so at the end of the turn, I'll have 1 mind control guy, and I've got 3 soldiers left that can kill the sectoid, and then I get my guy back. So it's about understanding the mechanics. And if you just run in there and start shooting shit, you're gonna hate
I was never good at it.
Yeah.
That's one of the games I was never good at.
Yeah.
And was it the one that was really hard? Was I think the third game? What was the third game called again? Where they made it real time?
Yeah, Apocalypse.
Because
Yeah.
that was in the era where everything was real time strategy RTSs like Dune.
Yeah.
And then there was Command and Conquer
Commander Conquer was all right. Red Alert.
and Red Alert, and so it competed.
Warcraft.
It tried to compete with
Warcraft, yeah.
That's right. Well, Warcraft. And so it tried to compete with all that, and that was a really tough game. I remember even you saying, "This is bullshit, man."
It was tough and it wasn't interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh man, if you don't get the game," because I remember you giving it to me. You're like, "Yeah, again, a special with a special discs and on the the piracy and all that sort of stuff."
We never did any of that.
From memory, I'm fairly sure I gave you the original ones when I finished.
Oh
playing
yes,
with
you
them.
did.
Yes.
You gave me the original.
Speaking of
ones.
lending, and I have to leave soon, but speaking of lending discs, we could never finish Shenmue 2 because you fucked the discs.
Yeah, you remember that? So we had Shenmue.
You lent us Shenmue 2.
We had Shenmue on the Dreamcast, and you gave us Shenmue 2 on the Xbox.
Yes.
We could never finish it because the disc was disappeared somewhere.
No, not the disc disappeared. It was scratched.
Oh, scratch, yeah. Because you were classic. Either the CD-ROM was missing from the case, or it was a different CD-ROM from the proper case.
Why would you put the right CD into the case?
You never fucking did it.
You take the one that you're playing and you put it in.
Exactly.
And then
Why would you?
and
Interchangeable.
And DVDs were a disaster for this guy because DVDs would definitely be different cases to the different disc, and there'd be like fingerprints on there. And you used to use the Xbox as a DVD player, which a lot of people
fair
did.
enough, yeah.
And mate, there were so many times where you go, "Fuck this disc," because it didn't know how to read it. It was scratched, it had fingerprints on it. But Jason Relaxation lost his shit
Because
one
it was
day.
right at the end.
He was in a Shenmue.
I was about to go to Hong Kong.
He was in a Shenmue 2 more than I ever was.
Fucking
right?
love Shenmue.
And he was playing it, and then he gets, "It's just from the house somewhere." "Oh, you got to be fucking kidding me, man." I go, "What?" He goes, "Fuck this. Fucking Pedro."
Because back then the Xbox did not die gracefully.
No.
It fucking shat itself.
Yeah. You got the black screen.
Go, fuck.
And it basically said, "Fuck you."
It basically said, fuck you.
Yeah, so he always, whenever
I've got fucking Pedro.
whenever you come up in conversation, and it's about games.
Shenmue
He's
2.
he always brings it up. He's like a dog with a bone. He won't let it go. Pedro. He won't-
I've recently just finished replaying it. That's the one
you
that I
know
have played.
they've done
Yeah,
three.
I kickstarted.
I've started playing the third. I've started playing it, and I gotta say,
not the same.
And because from what I've read, he's done it like the original style.
Yes.
And that's dated now.
it doesn't.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't work.
quick time events are my favorite thing of all time.
It doesn't-
Nothing I love more than a quick time event.
But it's not only that; it's just everything that. You're right. The world has changed so much in terms of like open world RPGs,
It's not the same.
and it's just so plotting.
Yeah,
and
back in
it's just,
'93, being able to walk into a house and open a drawer with nothing in it was amazing.
Oh, you'd never seen.
Open a drawer with nothing
Well,
in it.
You know what? Okay, so you remember that was the only time again that you were impressed by the Dreamcast. That was something that we had was the Dreamcast. You came over and played Shenmue and went,
And Soul Calibur.
"What the fuck's this?"
Yeah.
Because Pedro used to love fighting games.
Yeah,
Ye oldie Pedro.
ye oldie. Oh, yeah, because ye oldie Pedro when we were in Europe.
Didn't you used to have a proper fighting joystick thing?
Now he's got an arcade cabinet.
I know you got the cabinet, but I thought you had the.
No, my brother did.
Yeah, okay.
No, when we went to Europe, we'll tell this story at another time. We're walking around for a month or two, and he goes,
Yeah, we should do a travel.
We'll do a travel. We'll do a travel podcast because this one moment I never realized how big of a gamer he was until we actually were in Europe for a couple of months.
He had an addiction.
and he goes, "I just want to play. He goes, "I just want to play games."
plug me in.
And you know what you found? Remember the fighting game, the fighting machine?
Yeah, Fist of the Northern Star.
Yeah, you
Fucking hell.
started punching it.
Well, because that's what you're supposed to punch.
Yeah, but he had a lot of aggression there, Pedro.
Oh, I've been without computer.
So on that note, we'll leave it there. Jason,
there.
relaxation. You got to head off.
You got to head off, mate. Got to go pick up children and stuff.
Oh, well, fun times. Pedro, thank you very much for being on the podcast. Will you come again, please? And we'll talk about Europe and Robotech and bullshit.
Oh, open your calendar. 2022 is looking good.
You fucking prick. No, it doesn't work like that. It's not like a bicentenary, you fuck. I can't believe it.
You just dropped your gut so loud. I
did.
can hear it through the fucking microphone.
I did. I was actually proud of
And
it.
for the audience, they're directional microphones.
And you know what? Normally I say at this time I need to take a piss, but now I think I might need to take a shit.
or you already have.
I think I might have to. Because it was pretty big.
He's got that squishy feeling.
And again, Pedro, would I lie to you, babe? Would I lie to you? Oh yeah.
I'm leaving. Fuck
All
you
right.
all.
On that note, Pedro, thanks for coming. Thank you, Jason, for being You Don't Go A Changing. Thank you for the two people that have been listening to this bullshit podcast. Thank you, Dad, for letting us use your garage. Just tell you ready to be fucking Mass Effect. I can't help it. I fucking love Miranda. She chased me, and I fucking tried to crack on her so much in ME2, and I got the shits when I had to get up and change the fucking disc. Remember that? Remember that, Pedro?
Oh, I do.
You got your dick in one hand and you have to get
Yeah, because on the Xbox 360,
How am I supposed to change it now?
yeah, well, fucking that was a big problem because on the Xbox 360 it came on 2 discs, and just as Miranda said, I think we're crazy, but if you're interested, and then she'd be like, oh, I'm interested, and then you'd be like, it goes insert disc 2, you're like, fuck. I've never really gotten over it. There's something I need to improve on. There's something else in my life that's fucking bullshit, and I've got no fucking guidance. And next week, my little Andromeda Expeditionary Force will have some more Retrodom and more bullshit. But until then, you can roll it, muggies. you